kind of skip over the part about the inverse kinetics, the Bones tool. If some of you have Flash CS6, you still have the Bones tool, but if we are using CC, I'm not finding it in there. So again, we'll try to make some work out of this week's chapter with the other stuff. But as far as any time it's referring to ActionScript 2 or the Bones tool, there's also a section in here about the Deco tool. Those two things are no longer, I'm not finding them in Flash, so we're just going to have to skip over that. You guys can definitely work on the masking layers and working with labels like what they have towards the end of the book with the project builder. So yeah, we can make we can add a lot of things into Flash besides just making our symbols into our libraries. We can have special effects like movie sound effects. Those things are just going to make our animations that much more believable and add some kind of mood, maybe some kind of feeling to them. So getting a door to creak if you're making like a Halloween animation, maybe some footsteps off creeping up behind you or something. Those are things we need to add to animations to make them more fun. Without sound, animations can kind of be very dull and boring and kind of void of any kind of emotion, unless they're really done well. A silent video is it's an old school feature as far as acting goes, but you really have to know what you're doing if your viewer is going to get your message if it's completely silent. So adding some sounds, again, kind of adds to our theme, maybe what we're doing, adding, maybe if it was a space scene, having laser blaster sounds or something like that. Just something that has to do with what you're doing will make the viewer a lot more interested in what you have created. So one other thing we can do is we can we can bring videos into Flash. Okay, so if you guys, not just like a video made from Flash, but we could also bring in video that we shoot from a video camera or from other sources. So knowing that, we're going to have to know some other things about how videos work inside of Flash. And one of those big things is embedding video. Embedding video is one of our options. I'm going to try to just get to that section here in the book. 512 sounds about right. Yep. Okay, so yeah, first one they have there is embedding the video, and this is sticking the video in Flash. So this is making it part of the Flash file. Now this is something you guys really have to pay attention to. If you're going to plan on embedding a video, you have to realize this becomes part of your Flash file. So if your video is big file size, guess what your Flash file is now? Big. Okay? So embedding videos is best done when the video is very short or it's a small sized video, because videos can be really big in size. So usually when we're embedding a video, it's small in size, and it's also small in file size, because again, you bring in a 15 meg movie file into your Flash file is just grown by 15 meg automatically. So downloading something like that would become an issue for your user. Now we can do some things like build preloaders, which will load our whole Flash movie before the viewer sees it. We haven't got into that point yet. That will help alleviate, your user to look at a pretty big Flash file by building a preloader. That way everything's loading inside of that Flash file before they get to view the Flash file. We'll get into that in the coming weeks. That's really a big part of making a complex animation or a website you're going to have to build a preloader. I brought some files today with me, some of my flash files. So, you know, maybe once we get through some stuff, again today, we're going to just kind of go over the chapter roughly. I'm not going to get into things too much this week. It looks like you guys are going to, you know, just keep yourselves busy with this week's work, but we're going to be skipping a lot of the chapter. Again, the Bones tool, don't worry about that, and the Deco tool. And if there's any kind of reference to buttons, you know, you guys try to use what we already did with ActionScript 3, okay? Use the ActionScript 3.0 coding that we did in the earlier weeks for go to and stop, go to and play. Use the stop command. We can still do button interactivity like what they're saying in this chapter. Okay, we've just got to look up a different way to do it using 3.0. Now I know this is not an ActionScript class, and I would like to get more into that. It does make learning Flash a lot easier, but at the same time, you know, that's something you guys will have to look into, especially if you like Flash. You'll have to look into wanting to take an ActionScript class, because that will just open up the door for so many more possibilities, and we kind of do need to implement a lot of coding to make really cool things happen. So we'll also go over some of the 3D effects, so I'll kind of show you guys some tricks you can do with that to make things look kind of neat. Masking layers, that's definitely something we're going to do. So we're going to be covering masking layers. Does anybody in here know what a masking layer does? Go ahead.
It's like you're making a window on an object over a background on another layer. Excuse me.
No, that's right. You're kind of making a window. It's like you're going to hide a section. You want to hide a section of another layer by letting only a visible section of that mask layer. You know, that's your visible point, while the rest of your screen behind it is hidden. So an object mask, like an object, a circle on a masking layer, will only show what's behind that circle. Okay, and we'll get into that. And we can do some really cool animations with masking effects. Let's see. Well, yeah, we can. You know, with movies, stuff like that, embedding movies, we can animate them. Like we could have a movie fly across the screen. You know, I could have it come in with a 3D transition to where the movie's twirling. You know, and then it stops on the screen and the viewer could watch it. So the different ways we bring in a video. They also talk about progressive downloading. It's a ActionScript to load an external FOV file into a SWF. So you guys can load, other files into a Flash file via code. It's another way we can do it. Streaming video. This is you have to have a constant connection between the user and the video delivery. So, it has several advantages, but yeah, there's some disadvantages you guys could imagine. There's a video wizard. You guys should be able to see. I'll just bring this open real quick so we can just kind of do this, and then maybe I'll show you guys my stuff at the end. Might as well just pull up Flash and get showing you guys how this works. Again, I brought in some files, so hopefully that'll help. Let's see. Just try to find an animation or something. Yeah, that's something we could have done with Flash. I could show you guys that. Wow, what's going on with Flash here? It's not loading. There it goes. meant to hit sign it later. I've got one here. Just bring this in. It's probably huge, but that would be fine. Yeah, just waiting on this computer here. It's taking a while. Boy, these computers sure keep things slow, don't they? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just dragging two video files over onto my desktop. I brought these in. I just want to show you guys these real quick just to give you an idea. So here's two videos. This one's 205 megabytes. It's only 6 seconds long. This is a 3D animation I made a while back. So 6-second 3D animation is 250 megabyte. That has a lot to do with its actual size and also frame rate, all these other things. So this is an uncompressed animation. So that's kind of another reason why it's so big. When I do 3D animations, I do them uncompressed so that when I bring them into like Premiere Pro or After Effects, that's where I'm compressing my videos. Just going to try to see if Windows will open this with the Windows Player. Hopefully it will. Okay, so I'm just going to let this play for a second. I'll show you guys the flash animation I did with this, but I just want to show you, this is a video, a 3D animation. We're flying inside a shape. You see it said under construction. So could you guys maybe imagine what this animation was for?
For a website that wasn't ready?
That's right. It was for a website that wasn't ready. And what I was doing is just making something interesting so that when visitors were typing in that URL, they're going to the site, they weren't just getting, sites not up or 404 or, some kind of weird, under construction. Figured we'd make something cool out of it. So I'll show you what I did with that. I just want you guys to get an idea about movie sizes. This is another 3D animation, but this one is a lot smaller in size. This one's only 2.5, I think, meg. So it's just something, I was just having some fun, just playing around. It's my name, it's just going to fly away into the clouds. But again, just playing around with some video, okay? Now, if I look at this one, this was the one I first played where you fly inside. This is 205 meg. This one's only 22.9. All right, so this other one's been compressed a lot more. It's longer in length. This one's 20 seconds. Why, this one's 6. Okay, so you really need to pay attention about your videos when you're bringing them into Flash because, again, if I were to bring in a 250 megabyte animation, it's just going to ruin my Flash file. Let's go into Flash real quick, and I'm just going to do an ActionScript 3.0 file. Going to go to Classic. Guys, I'll do some stuff with the masking and stuff later this week. I just want you guys to get your heads around the video aspect, especially if you guys were going to bring in some kind of video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just delete this one. It's just kind of a big file to have sitting on this computer. So this one's, I can use that. That will work. Just going to make sure and see if these other ones aren't any smaller. Oh, this one's 1.5 meg, so maybe we'll check this one out. I don't know. Oh, it's got some sound in with it. So yeah, I'll just play that again. Again, this is 3D animation. I've got another class, so you guys might want to know where I'm doing all this stuff. This is my other class. Just making a ball roll across the floor and then change directions with its spin. It's kind of hard, but just adding some music to it, having some fun. So this file's, I like the size of this one. This one's only 1.67 megabytes, and it's 10 seconds long. So this one's got good compression on it, while these other ones are a lot bigger in size. So again, you really need to pay attention to your video size. It could break your movie. So let's go over some things here. File, import video. Okay, this is where we go to import videos. Now you're going to get this. This is your import manager. Okay, it's going to ask you how you want to bring in a video into Flash. So knowing what kind of video you have is going to help you out with a lot. An FLV video is awesome because what we can do with FLVs, and I've got one over on my computer here, I'll probably drag over next. I'll show you guys how that works. Those get embedded, as you guys can read. If it's an FLV or an SWF, we can embed this into the timeline, so it exists on as long as the timeline does, right? That way we could kind of scroll back and forth through the animation with it being up there. Loading an external video with playback component. This is where you guys will read in your book where you bring in a video and Flash will give you the play buttons. Like, so you'll have your play, stop, and all that. It's just going to add it into a video player. So I'll just bring this in right now. I'll just go to the desktop, find that video, open. Okay, so it's telling me that in order to bring this movie in, it's going to have to be a FLV or F4V, okay, that type of movie. I could stream, like if I had this video onto a server somewhere, I could provide the link for that video. Does that make sense? You guys are familiar with Ned, right? So if I had a video up on Ned's server, I could provide the link and throw that in there. That's another thing we could do. So let me go back to this and see if it's going to let me launch. Let's see if we even have it. No, doesn't look like we do. So here's the movie. You know, when you guys go to import video, look, you've got a drop down here, so you can, you know, find different types of movies. MOVs, QuickTime. They obviously don't have AVI in here. AVI's Windows format should. I would think they would have it in here, but they don't. I thought they would have it in here by now, but. The FLV and F4V are the ones I usually do because that's you can do that from Adobe Media and Encoder. You can open up a video in there and just resave it as this type of file. So, well, with that being said, I'll just go ahead and get a video. Oh, it's got the opened up here. So here's the Adobe Media Encoder right here. Okay. So what I could do is File, Add. I'm going to go to desktop, get the movie, open. Oh, I already had one open there. So see right here where this drop down is, it's asking me like what kind of movie do you want to turn this into? Alright, so that's where I want to pick either F4V or FLV, and I'm just going to do that one. And I'm going to remove this top one. So now it's asking like, where do you want to do this to? And I want to do this to desktop. So I'm just going to start the queue. I'm going to let it down here at the bottom. It's just doing its thing. It's compressing the movie for me. Okay, so it's just going through all the frames of the movie, and I should get the FLV out onto the desktop when this is done. And that way, you know, I've got the right type of movie to bring into Flash. There's a lot of things we can do with video. We could also embed a video, you know, into a shape. So here's my FLV right here, okay? So it's my same movie. It's just you guys notice it went down just a little bit, or it went up in size. Okay, it was 1.67, now it's 1.87. So still not that bad for a video. That's pretty small. Let's go back to Flash now and go to File, Import, Movie, Video. So now I can say load, you know, external with playback component. I'm going to choose that first just to show you guys how this works. So I'll select that, open, and then click next. It's going to ask me now what kind of, see, here's the player I was telling you guys about that it will give you. You know, we're asking for this to be you know, brought into Flash, and we want it to be embedded. So, you know, here's a movie player. I could choose, you know, black menu, red menu, whatever I want for this. Okay. You've got some other options here for as far as like, you know, how about just a silver player with all the buttons, or you can say, you know, silver with minimal playback. So it's going to get just play back. You know, you've got different button selections down here at the bottom. You guys will just have to choose which one you want. Okay? It's not a big issue here. It's just more of you guys going through and figuring out which one you want. So I'm just going to hit next. It says after importing video, view video topics and Flash help. You know, you guys can read up on this stuff if you're wanting more information about video usage in Flash. I would do that if you need to, but I'm just going to click finish and bring this in. Okay, so now let me zoom out because this movie is a lot bigger than my screen. This is 1280 by 720. Okay, so I would have to click on my stage and go with 1280 by 720. Now if I did that, that's going to be as big as this movie, the movie frame, but I want you guys to notice something down at the bottom. Look what's hanging off down here. The controls to the movie are not fitting in there. So although I clicked on my movie and I looked at the size 1280 by 720, well, that's the size of the movie. That's not including the menu bar down at the bottom. Okay, so I need to make this a little bit larger. So I'll go to like 740 and check this out. It still looks like it's not big enough. So again, I'm just going to keep going up. I'm making my movie big. Should have my stage selected. So I'm just going to, again, drag this movie down to where it's aligned with the top. Look at the bottom here. That should be, whoop, I'm doing it again. So click on your stage. And I'm just going to expand this. Keep going. It looks like 740 will be good. So maybe even 742. So I'm just eyeballing like how big this is because I need this. If I were to test my movie, I want to make sure that my controls are in there, because if I test the movie, you guys notice here. Let's shrink this down. Well, it's not really. I can't get it on the screen. So you guys can see my controls are hidden. I can see the very top of the timeline right there, like the little bar down here. So I just know that this is not big enough. Okay, so all I need to do is just keep making my stage bigger and then retest the movie. I can start to see this green circle now moving across the bottom a little bit better. So my controls are still covered. There I can kind of see them. I'm getting the time. I can grab the timeline and scroll this back. Can you guys see the circle down at the bottom? Probably not. Maybe if I move it over there, you can see it. We really need to make sure I could change, again, right here under, component parameters, this is kind of our movie player. So I could change, the menu again if I wanted, just right here from this menu. Okay? I could also say skin background alpha, which means transparent. I could also click autoplay, uncheck that. So when I go to play my movie, you have to come down here and click play. Right? It's not auto playing when you start. So again, these are some controls you guys will have to play around with and make sense of. I'm going to shrink this video down and show you guys I'm just going to load it into the movie just to show you that this movie is now smaller in my stage, right? I just used the transform tool and made it smaller. That's all I did. So nothing really big there. Again, I'll just pull this over into the middle so we can kind of, I don't know what's going on with the screen. It's kind of hard to see all the controls. But you guys can see we've got the play, the back. I could move the time forward. We got volume, up and down. So we've got all of our buttons, which is nice. You can hit play, watch the movie. Okay? This is pretty self-explanatory. We could even, like I said, I could create an object. Well, let's just start over. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to go to File, Import, Video again. And this time I'm going to embed FLV into the timeline. Okay, so I'm choosing the opposite selection this time. I'm going to browse, get my FLV movie, and next. And now it's giving me some different options. So it's saying, how would you like to embed the video? Do you want to make it an embedded video, movie clip, graphic? So I've got some options here, right? I could say movie clip, play instance on stage, expand in timeline, include audio. So if you've got sound already with the video, you guys will need to include the audio. If you don't do this, you're obviously not bringing over the sound. Sound and the video are two separate channels. So, excuse me. Audio includes, well, it makes your file size bigger. Okay, so having a video without sound is a little bit smaller than having one with sound, especially if you're having dual channels. It's like Dolby Digital Surround. You've got some extra file size there. So sometimes doing the video separately and then bringing in the sound effects next into Flash is the way we want to go. Again, depending on what you're doing. So I'm going to just bring this in, bring it to stage, expand on timeline. I'm just going to do all of these. It says will be placed on the stage. The timeline will be expanded. So I'll just say finish. So now this object is on stage and it is part of my timeline. I'm going to hit Control Enter. And I chose this to be what? What did I choose this movie clip or this movie to be? A movie clip. Remember, as the objects is said to bring in, like it could have been a embed, video clip, or graphic. So I made this a video clip. We don't have the controls anymore, but what is it doing now? Yeah, because remember when we make video clips, make our own video clips in Flash, they'll just keep looping because we have to hit stop command in the action script. So I can double click on this And now you guys can see I'm in my movie symbol. And now the timeline is expanded, you know, throughout the duration of how long that movie is. So here we go to frame 300. Okay? So now this movie clip that I brought in, you know, is part of my timeline. The ball moving is going to happen with me scrubbing through my own time, right? It's kind of nice. This way we could add other things going on. I could add things on top of this scene. You know, I could have text flying across. So let's just come back out, say this was my movie clip. I could just say that. And then another layer, you know, I could just say like text. What's something that what's some text that we get before a movie plays?
Turn off your cell phone.
Yeah, some intro text though, right? Some intro text before movies play. Maybe some you know, produced by, maybe the group of people. Maybe it's like, I don't know, you know, Hammerball Productions, you know, you could, whatever, you know, whoever the company is or the group that made it. And, you know, also at the beginning of movie intros, sometimes you've got, you know, the text flying around, the actors' names, you know, flying in, but sometimes all that animation leads right into the actual movie, right? So sometimes we could like have maybe an embedded video, which is our movie that we want somebody to watch, but we could have a lot of things happening before, kind of like a real movie, you know, leading them up to watching the movie. So this is something you guys will have to take into mind. Making an animation is kind of it can be a big ordeal or it can be a small one. It depends on what you're making, okay? Complex animations, just going to take a lot of planning. If you're making a basic animation, it should be a lot more straightforward and linear, but knowing all the different things we can do in Flash is going to only help you guys be a lot more potent at making really cool stuff. So, okay, I don't want to bore you too much with this, but again, we could do text. So what I could do with this movie clip, look, I could drag, I gotta wait for Flash to respond. So I could drag this out to, say, frame 25. Okay, so if I go back, look at, my movie does not even exist up until frame 25. And I could drag this way out to 60. And so what I could do then is on my text frames be like, you know, welcome or produced by or whatever you want, you know. So you could do that. You could have a produced by, and I'm just going to make this text bigger. Okay. Just going to have this, I'm just going to do something real quick. Nothing elaborate. Insert motion. I should have done a classic, but so I want this to fade out. So I'm going to have this just fly down to here, right? My text is just going to fly in. I'm not doing anything special, like I said, but on this frame, I want this text to completely go out. So you guys familiar with alpha? Did you guys play around with that? That's like transparency. So I could turn this down to, you know, nothing. I could go a couple frames up, insert keyframe, and make this alpha a little bit stronger so that it's not just fading out so fast. I actually wanted that switch, so I'm just going to reverse these frames. Yeah. Do this over again. So I want this one to be opposite. I'm ahead of myself here. So 100, and then back here I want this to be, the alpha to be 0, so that when it comes in, you know, it's going to fade in. And here I'll just add another keyframe because I want, at this point, it still to be 0. So now, once my text flies in, gets about halfway in, it's going to start fading in, right? And then we'll go to the movie. So now if I hit Control Enter, you know, we'll get this quick little text to fly in first. Whoa, that was really fast. It's just going to keep looping, so I need to stop right here. I would have to hit Actions. So I'd go Actions, F6, F9, and stop. Now remember, my movie's not going to play now. Well, this one will, but the rest of my movie won't, because this one was already a movie clip, right? And I didn't tell that movie clip to stop. Does that make sense? So I told Flash to stop on this, where this movie started. You guys get that? Let me go back and show you. So right here, I'm stopping my main Flash animation, but remember I made this into a movie clip. So I'd have to come to the very end of this animation and say stop on frame 300 if I wanted this to stop at the end of this movie, because I'm in a different timeline. Does that make sense?
So you would do your actions, you put a new layer
Mm-hmm.
in that movie clip as an action script layer.
Yeah, so here, I'll just do it for you. I'll just go to frame 300. That's where it stops. So right here, F6, F9 for actions, and stop. And now, it should, you know, not re-loop my text, and when it goes to the end of this movie, it should stop. So once we get to the end of this one, we should get a stop. And there we go. So knowing how things are working, again, remember when you guys make video clips, it's kind of like it's got its own timeline inside. Remember, things can become nested, so we really need to work on those concepts so that we can, you know, make a lot of nested stuff inside. A lot of websites and stuff might have nested content. Now I'll just show you guys some things real quick before we leave. We got a couple minutes, so again, I'll make it more like in-depth video, like on Wednesday. How about we work on some cool mask animations? Those are kind of fun. I like those. But let me show you some work though, so you guys, you know, I don't want to be talking about all this stuff all the time. Instead, you know, not show you guys anything. So let's. Whoop, brought my big hard drive in, and well, I've got some stuff that I've done a lot of Flash stuff. So there's too much to show you right now. I'll just open some things, and how about I show you guys like a big crazy website? Yeah? Okay, so this is my Flash portfolio website. Hopefully it'll fit over here. Okay, so that's fitting on screen. So this is all Flash, and it's got sound. I'll even open this file up so you guys can see what something like this looks like inside of Flash. Okay, but we've got sound. So this is all Flash, okay, and this is 3D animation, so pay attention. Yeah, I've got a 3D animation class, so you guys see a lot of this stuff going on. This is all 3D. So I just have my ship, like instead of your gallery, you click on the gallery and, you know, the pictures show up. I have my gallery come to you. A ship flies out and smashes into the screen. You can choose, you know, all these images. This is just some artwork, a lot of my artwork. You know, logos, bunch of stuff. Renderings, 3D stuff. Just a lot of different things, okay? So got words showing up over here, so it kind of tells you what the images are. This is all in Flash too, okay? So you guys notice when I hover over my buttons how the little boxes expand, right? And these light up. You guys know about rollover effects, right? This is just the glow effect going on. Okay? If I leave gallery, ship flies away. You can click on About Me, we get a different animation. So a wall just flew down, one big chunk. And now watch what happens when you go back. So it's just some information about myself. Then the wall breaks apart. You guys notice I've got all these sound effects going in to go with what's happening. Contact. Got like a board slide out, so you guys could write, you know, who you are, what the subject's about, send me an email from here, and just click send email straight from a Flash site. Kind of fun. You guys notice though how we've tied all the sounds like with what's going on, like slide out or slide in, you know, ship fly in, wall fly down. We could even go back to the beginning if we wanted, right? So making sure you've got navigation and you can do all of these things is kind of, you know, what we're working on. You notice out there was like going from dark to light. That's kind of a retina projector idea. So it's like going from the dark inside the light. I've got like a dark HTML version. My portfolio website in HTML is all black. And it's got a white streak pointing up. So it's kind of, if you clicked on my Flash version on my HTML, it would take you to this, which is like the opposite of my black version. It's kind of a light and dark. So, you know, you have to really kind of give your idea some thought, you know, before you're doing something. You guys have to realize I thought about all these animations that were happening. So I had to plan out the ship coming in, smacking against the screen. I had to plan him backing away, turning around and flying away. Okay, so these are all things I have to plan. You know, going back to the same menus, how I was going to let the user use the buttons. I control the way that goes. So when you guys go to like About Me, you guys notice all these other buttons went away, right? So I'm controlling the user to only go back. You can't go anywhere else. So this is another thing, you know, limiting options sometimes will alleviate some coding issues and a lot of work on your end, making things more linear, like, okay, well, you've read this section, go back now. You know, now you'll get all of these to show back up. So kind of, you know, you guys will want to think about the way. Here's a robot bounce game. This is a game I made. This is a bunch of coding. So more than anything, this is just a lot of coding. But this is done in 3D. This little guy right here, all these asteroids. See, I used some external assets to bring him into Flash. And, you know, I've got my little guy here. My asteroids were all made in my 3D program. It's just a game where you have to hit the asteroids. If you miss them, your guy will fall back down to the bottom and game's over. It's just a simple game, but you know, it's probably 500 lines of code. It's not a little task. So games are very, very, very expensive to make as far as time. But you guys will see a lot of, you know, great things you can do out of coding. So sometimes, you know, just giving it some time and effort, it's all that's needed. So that's really about it for today, you guys. So we'll get into more on Wednesday, but practice, and we'll see you then.